I spent years trying to become a millionaire, but nothing worked until I realized these 6 reasons holding me back. Reason 1. You're doing too much fake work. And this is why you think you never have enough time to make more money. You make excuses why you can't start a side hustle or you can't get a raise, and really it all boils down to this. And I've been guilty of this too, and I'll give you an example. I'm a huge designer. I like things to look pretty. So when I started my app idea in college, I focused too much on the wrong thing. I spent months just researching about design on Reddit, on Twitter, on YouTube. Hell, on some days I even made it to the second page of Google. But after 6 months of researching and designing, I had $0 to show for it because everything I did was just fake work in preparation for real work. Here's the distinction. If your boss goes up to you and says, this task needs to be finished in 24 hours or else the world will end, then you'll probably cut out all the fluff and take the most direct path to get to your goal and ignore all the extra stuff. And doing real work sucks more than stubbing your little toe on a piece of furniture because the stakes are higher and there's a greater risk of failure. Fake work, on the other hand, is comfortable because it feels like you're doing something productive when you're actually not. And before you say you don't have enough time to do X because you're too busy at your real job, look, I won't tell anyone, but you gotta admit we both know how much time you waste pretending to work at work. Am I right? Shh, it's okay, I won't tell anyone. But studies show that office workers actively work less than 3 hours a day and they still accomplish what they need to do, which means you still have multiple hours of sweet brain juice during or after work to use to produce real work on other stuff that will make you more money. You need to understand that you will not become wealthy from just working your day job, which is why most millionaires have on average 7 income streams. And let me be clear, it's completely okay to just do your regular job as long as you're happy with where you are. But I can bet because you clicked on this video, you want to make more money, which brings us to reason 2, the price you pay. I always grew up hearing this advice, and I'm sure you did too. Say yes to everything because you never know what could be an amazing opportunity. And I know you think it's helping you, but it's actually as bad as my haircut in high school. Thanks, Mom. When you're starting out in anything, school, career, or business, every opportunity looks enticing. You want to join a student organization, you want to do an internship, you want to help with this and that, but there are 2 major problems. 1, the more stuff you take on, the less effort you can focus on each individual thing. And 2, you're paying the price for the decisions you don't take. Let me explain. When I worked my first job in finance, I was always so eager to help out and pick up extra work in hopes that I would get a whopping 1% raise at the end of the year. And so I worked late every single day. I got home exhausted, I had no energy for anything else, and I repeated the exact same thing again tomorrow. And I didn't realize it at the time, but the price I paid was years. Years off of my life because it prevented me from making more money for several years and reaching financial freedom faster. And it wasn't until the lockdown when everything changed. Because we were all forced to work from home, I was able to take back 2 hours a day that I normally spent commuting, and instead, I used that time to build my side hustle, like my YouTube channel. And fast forward 7 months, I made enough from my side hustle to have the freedom to quit my full-time job. And all this is called opportunity cost. Essentially, if I pick choice 1 of taking on more projects at work in hopes of just a 1% raise at the end of the year, I couldn't pick choice 2, which was working on my side hustle and potentially getting an unlimited % raise. You need to understand that you should be extra selective with the opportunities you say yes to because it could be pulling you away from your goal. The biggest issue is your time is limited to 24 hours in a day, which brings us to reason 3. But look, I didn't grow up with money. My parents immigrated here with nothing but the clothes on their back. They didn't go to high school or speak any English. And so when I was born here, I didn't go to, let's say, the best public schools in New York. They weren't the worst, but the kids in my class weren't the most studious or hardworking. And so I was forced to grow up with this very independent mentality. I couldn't really rely on my classmates, so I always felt like I had to do everything myself if I wanted a good grade. But then again, I was kind of a nerd. I mean, have you seen this haircut? And nowadays, speaking with a ton of people who want to be wealthy, I realized that this is an issue for a lot of people. Many of them can't make more money because they don't know how to accept help or delegate tasks. And even for me, it wasn't until just a few years ago did I learn to ask myself this one single question that completely changed my life. When I first started this channel, and keep in mind this was on top of my real 60 to 70 hour a week job, I did pretty much everything. I researched, I scripted, I filmed, I edited, I made thumbnails, I marketed, all of it, which was okay and manageable until I reached my breaking point a few months in. Now for months, I would wake up at 5 a.m. every single day. I would work on YouTube until 8 a.m. and then I started my real job until 8 to 9 p.m. And then I went back to YouTube until midnight. And frankly, after a few months of this every single day, I couldn't take it anymore. But then luckily, I came across this book called Who, Not How, which changed how I viewed everything. This book taught me to look very closely at each task that I had to do. And instead of asking myself, how am I going to get this done, it made me reframe the question to who can help me accomplish this? And this made all the difference. After that pivotal moment, I found people to help me with video editing, and then I found people to help me with designing, and then researching, and so on. And it allowed me to continue making YouTube videos. You need to stop doing the tasks that someone else can do better, especially if you're limited with time. Because only then can you use your freed up hours to start making more money and focusing on other parts of the business. I wouldn't be where I am today without my amazing team to support me. But I admit that it was a huge struggle when I first started to collaborate or when I first started to manage people, because there was just so much to do. But what helped me out was ClickUp, a productivity platform that can help you save 1 day of work per week. ClickUp started with the idea that productivity was broken because there's just way too many tools and platforms to keep track of stuff. You gotta go here to do this and gotta go over there to do that, and then you just don't do anything because it just becomes too overwhelming. So ClickUp built a tool that houses everything you need. Got projects? Check. Docs? Check. Goals? Check. Spreadsheets? Check. More stuff? Check. Whether you have a team of 1 or 1,000 plus, ClickUp is full of features and customization options that no other productivity tool has, so you can easily do your best work. Whether you're in sales, you're a TikToker, or a YouTuber, ClickUp has an easy-to-use solution that creates a more efficient work environment. Join the over 800,000 highly productive teams using ClickUp today for free if it's just you as an individual user. But if you're a team or larger, you can use code Vincent Chan to get 15% off ClickUp's massive unlimited plan for a year, meaning you can start reclaiming your time for just under $5 a month. Thanks again to ClickUp for sponsoring this video. Reason 4, you're not stealing enough. One of the big issues to prevent you from making more money or starting something is that you think you don't have an original idea. You believe you need to find the perfect thing that no one else has done, and then you can start working on it. And when in reality, that's completely wrong. You need to understand that nothing comes from nowhere. All creative work builds on what came before, and nothing is completely original. And that's exactly how I grow all my businesses. There's no point in reinventing the wheel when there's already something out there that's proven to work. So whenever I see something that I really like online, and whether that's a video, a blog, a podcast, a business idea, I collect it. I put it in my inspiration folder, and whenever I'm in a creative rut, I would examine it and I'd ask myself, what can I do with this? How can I incorporate this into my own stuff? Now, to be perfectly clear, I'm not copying what other people are doing. Rather, I'm getting inspiration from multiple sources and transforming it into something new with my own processes and styles. That's what Kobe Bryant did. He admitted all his moves were inspired from watching tapes of his heroes, and even Picasso was heavily inspired by African art. And yes, I did just compare myself to Kobe and Picasso. Look, most successful people on this planet all learn from others, and those before them did as well. And it doesn't make logical sense to try to start from scratch with absolutely no starting block. You need to understand, if you have a device that connects to the internet, which you do because you're watching this, no one in history has ever had access to as much of the world's creative pieces or information as you do right now. So stop making excuses and start. But if you want a more guided approach on how to cash flow $100,000 in 12 months, join the waitlist, link in the description down below. Focus on starting and constantly improving, and don't stop unless you experience reason 5. Nothing is sometimes better than something. You've been taught your entire life to always hustle, that you must work insane hours if you want to make it. And this message sounds really great. It's very inspirational. And when people are inspired, they tend to get things done. But there's one thing that the wealthy do that they never talk about. So admittedly, I also subscribe to this hustle mentality ever since I was in high school and I started my first clothing brand. I don't know where it originally came from, but I always felt like I had to be doing something, otherwise I don't feel good and productive. Like, I absolutely hate going to the beach and just laying down and relaxing, and just thinking about that gives me anxiety. So whenever I'm at the beach, I always try to find someone who has like a beach ball so that I can throw it, or I can just play in the water or something. Low key, I might have ADD, but I've never been diagnosed, so whatever. Over time, I learned the brain is just another part of our body. And just like any other muscle, if you overwork it, it will get exhausted. And no matter how much you force it, until you let it rest and repair itself, it will not be at its peak performance. That's why taking breaks and getting proper sleep is vital. Because if you're doing the same exact thing every single day, you'll get into this monotonous rut, which stops you from thinking outside the box. I learned to feel that it's okay to sacrifice a little productivity or money for some me time and peace of mind, which admittedly is very hard to do in this day and age. It feels like everyone is perfect. You're scrolling on Instagram or LinkedIn and it appears like everyone has their shit together. So when you do something new and you absolutely suck at it, you get uncomfortable, discouraged, and then you stop. Which brings us to reason 6. You suck. Let me tell you a quick story. So in college, during senior year, I participated in a Latin American dance performance. And the funny thing was I had zero dance experience whatsoever other than my sweet go-to moves at party, which obviously tore up the dance floor. So I thought it would be really fun to try something new. And when I went to my very first practice, it was embarrassingly terrible. I think at one point I probably kicked someone in the face during practice, allegedly, of course. But after a few months and many hours of practice, I did something. That's me right there. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I still suck. I'm not good by any means, but I am better. And I realized that sucking is a good thing because it improves your brain's performance. Learning a new skill actually increases the amount of myelin in your brain, which basically gives it superpowers for all your other tasks. You need to know that sucking at something is the very first step at becoming sort of good at something. Look, this video taught you what's holding you back from making more money, but now you need to learn these 4 money lessons from the wealthy to take it to the next level. And I learned these from reading over 300 money books.